Welcome to JustB2B Leaders, a podcast where we are going to interview leaders from B2B companies that they are willing to generate a better business, more predictable and scalable through the transformation of their organizations.
Hello everyone, today we are with Jorge Calvo. Who is Jorge Calvo? Jorge?
Good question. So this is a Spanish living in Tokyo, and for many years, almost 11 years in Japan. I am a professor and deputy dean here in Globis Business School. And I was executive in a Japanese company for 30 years, first in Spain, after that in Europe, and my last years in Japan.
Wow, okay. Where did we meet each other? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, remember, a long time ago, right? But it was in Silicon Valley, right? In Singularity University, in a cohort program with Sade and Ivan Bofarul, and we have the opportunity to start to talk about Industry 4.0 and digitalization there, right?
Yeah, I remember that time. Okay, so what you can tell us about your about Globis?
Globis is a very special business school because it's not only a business school, also is a venture capital funding. It's the largest private venture capital funding in Japan. So as a business school, we teach this year 1,200 MBAs, mostly Japanese. And we teach about 10,000 professionals for executive education. And also we have digital platforms. We have an AI institute as well. And our digital platform for micro-learning, we have about 600,000 subscribers.
Wow.
But basically it's a B2B model. So the corporations, they pay for the subscriptions, which is about 80% of the subscriptions, so they can manage the upper skills of the employees, but also they can manage the talent in a very innovative way. We have campuses here in Tokyo, in Osaka, in Nagoya, in Sendai, and in Fukuoka. And we have branches in Shanghai, Singapore, Manila, Brussels, and San Francisco.
Wow, man. So how well ranked is Globis in the...
It's not ranked.
It's not ranked.
By purpose, Globis was founded 30 years ago for Mr. Hori-san. He was an MBA, Harvard Business School MBA graduate, and he recognized the need that Japan, they have a very good engineers, but they didn't have business managers. In fact, was why I joined to the company in the international, because my president, the founder of the company, said, Jorge, here 95% of us, we are engineers, but you are doing very well in business.
So how come?
How come, no? So can you study for that? No? And this was the same idea, no? And then he opened the business school only with 200,000 yens, so $2,000, with the first 20 students in a marketing class in a rental room.
Wow. So it's an entrepreneurship,
it's entrepreneurship
success.
He also supports, we support 185 startups. We have 3 unicorns here. So the funding is about $1.2 billion, but the value is about 3.5.
Wow.
And it's a really, really profitable corporation. Because also we have even a social approach. We have a venture capitalist for social, and we have huge investments in one area of Japan, Mito area, for the developing of the economic area and supporting the young people.
Amazing. Okay, Jorge, so now you're working in a research about artificial intelligence. Tell us a little bit on that.
My research is about to try to give the one guide orientation to the companies about how they are positioned in the market, in the context. But not only in the terms of B2C, that many companies, they approach about my clients, my market. My research also includes the competitors, the context, the industry,
okay,
and also the,
like a 360,
the environment.
Right?
Yes, so it's a 360. So my interest is to approach in both perspectives. So the very beginning of the AI was B2C focus, because it was basically related about marketing, about
data,
bots, chatbots, and analytics, right?
Yeah.
But now we are in a phase of automation. And the automation is basically B2B. So, and is where is the real stream now for the huge potential of the startups. I already published some papers about the startups like Cogent Labs that we study here and in SADE. That is a startup that they provide services to the big corporations about optimizing the data process, the data flow. And they started by handwriting recognition. And now they have, thanks to the AI, the companies, they can assign a credit and the risk of the credit just according the handwriting.
Oh my God. Yeah? Are you kidding?
No, with 95% accuracy in positive and in negative assessments. Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm signing a loan to credit my startup, I need to be very careful with my signature.
Not only the signature, here we use a lot of written forms.
Okay.
So it's about all the written form.
Okay, very good. So somehow you already answered to my next question, which is, are you really making a difference in your research between B2C and B2B artificial intelligence? How fits? You already answered.
Yeah, I go deep in the B2B because it's more related about operations as it's related about automation. As when we meet in Silicon Valley, it was about robotics and I was the Industry 4.0 advisor. So it's more related about automation and automation of the functions.
You know how I call the B2B companies? I call the hidden companies.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody knows Apple, right? Everybody knows Heineken. Everybody knows Toyota, right? But to make it happen, an Apple iPhone, there are more than 100 companies hidden behind the value chain, right? So these are...
And Toyota has 18,500 companies, and in Tier 1 and in Tier 2, they have 350,000.
Wow.
And if you ask to Toyota why they don't go further for the autonomous vehicle, they say, okay, and what we do with our suppliers? So this is the approach in Japan.
Yeah.
That's why Japan is very resilient, because here mainly the relations are B2B, as you will see in your visit to Japan. So the keiretsus, the big organizations, they contain all the supply chain, and all the relations are B2B. That's why Japan is not so good in B2C.
Yeah, considering you're the third economy in the world, I'm not sure that you are not that good.
But if we talk about marketing, immediately our heads, they turn to USA, right?
Jorge, by the way, I heard this word that I don't really understand. What is a keiretsu?
Keiretsu, yeah, right. Sorry for including one Japanese word. It means a huge corporation. So in Japan, we have huge corporations that they have mostly about 25,000 companies. They employ maybe 5 million people, so they control all the supply chain. So, and basically they are B2B oriented, of course, because they can grant credits, and they have TV channels, they have retails, they have factories.
So Japan is a B2B country, or
it's a B2B country. That's why
more than a B2C country, right?
That's why USA is more popular or more famous in marketing. But here is about B2B and also about what we call another word, monosukuri. Production.
Okay.
So
value chain, all the value chain behind making a product available for the consumer, this is where Japan feels proud about it.
Yeah, and it was Professor Christopher, he say, products don't compete, companies don't compete, supply chains, they compete. And behind Apple, there is Foxconn. Behind Foxconn, there are the Chinese IC chip makers. Behind the chip makers, there are Japanese technology for the production of the high integrated chips.
I love this. Is like music to my ears, man. Yeah, because that's part of my work, right? It's everybody knows Apple. The B2B hidden companies behind Apple, which are those companies you mentioned, they are not very popular in a wedding. You go to a wedding, and if you work for one of these companies making machines to produce microchips, nobody knows you, right? Yeah. Nobody knew NVIDIA before they increased their their stock price, right?
I give you another example. Nobody knew at that time that all the sounds in Apple or Intel, they belong to Roland, to the company I worked, that they license the sounds in a very small chip.
Yeah.
So this is a pure
And you know
B2B.
why? You know why? They didn't know because they were B2B.
Yeah, but they don't want to be in the scenes. So what they
Sure.
want is to keep a very strong and loyal relation with the partners.
Absolutely. Hey, one thing that I really want your expertise and your point of view. You know that my passion it's business to business from a general management point of view. And years ago, I found the B2B management program in Cespedes, and normally the type of attendees we have is either the founder or the CEO or the executive committee. And we work in two directions, which is management model, how you organize and you manage your company, and culture, right? And with the past of the years, I've learned through these attendees that culture is very important, which means for the relationship in B2B, which means people is very important, right? So regarding your topic, artificial intelligence, so what are for you the threats and the opportunities that artificial intelligence will bring over the table related to the people thing?
Okay. Interesting question. Is what we call augmented leadership or augmented organization. So AI is not for replacing people. If you use AI for replacing people, it's cost-oriented, and if your competitors they use AI to create value, you will be in a weak situation.
Okay.
AI is to let your people to be more productive.
Okay.
So nobody wants to make photocopies, or nobody wants to answer 100 times the same email. But they have capabilities and talent to develop another things.
Okay.
So AI is augmenting, and there is a research from MIT that if you apply 5 principles according how you put AI working with your organization, you can get 650% of increasing in the productivity.
Okay, so you're saying that the opportunity is that you will improve your people.
Of course,
you will improve the way they work.
They take decisions.
They take better decisions.
There is another research from Boston Consulting Group with Harvard Business School, just from last October, that they prove that they can increase 30% of the performance of Boston consultants, especially in the young people. So humans, we are very good in taking decisions without information, long term. But AI is much better taking decisions in very short term. Combine both.
Okay. So what is the threat?
Yeah, the threat is
for the people part.
The threat is speed. So AI will not replace people. AI will support people. So people will be replaced by people that they use AI.
Yeah.
Companies will be replaced not by AI, will be replaced for companies that they know how to extract value.
What about the relationships between your clients? At the end of the day, B2B relationship is about trust. Mm-hmm. And there is an element of trust which is hard to replace by artificial intelligence, which is called intimacy. And I still remember that the day that a CEO of a huge company took the phone on the 26th of December. In Barcelona, 26th of December is holiday.
Yeah, of course.
And the guy,
Christmas.
the guy took the phone, and the guy said to me, "Oscar, are you coming tomorrow?" No, I didn't plan to come. I understood that you were going to meet with this and that guy. You better come tomorrow. And then in fact, it was 25th at night, Christmas Day. And then I changed my plans for the 26th, and I took a flight and I went there. And it was the tone of the CEO calling me on a Christmas evening, right? It was the message between lines. It was the level of intimacy, which made me change my family plans to go there, and we closed a very, very important agreement for both companies. So how artificial intelligence is going to, do you see any way that this intimacy can be replaced when an executive is taking a decision which is risky for the future?
I don't think so. So it's not going to replace.
It's not going to replace it.
It's going to be enhanced. Because the executives at that time, you can have more access to the information and you can have a pool of different scenarios.
You know, my theory is that it's going to be even more important, intimacy.
I think so. So AI is very powerful, but for very few things. But AI lacks of creativity, compassion, critical thinking.
Okay.
So, and people, we will move to develop more these capabilities rather than doing all the day the repetitive job. That's the point.
Okay, so you are the academic director of a ENON program in ESADE called Artificial Intelligence in Business.
Yes, it's in Spanish.
And you have your scope is like for the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. Have you seen an evolution of executives coming to this program in terms of their understanding how artificial intelligence will affect their business, their decision-making process? Have you seen an evolution in just 4 years?
Yes, absolutely. Because what's the evolution of the AI with the generative AI in the last years? And it's worth to mention that in these 4 years we have the COVID and we have the generative AI, two big disruptions. So at the very beginning was more general, so more marketing oriented, more B2C oriented. The people that what they were worried is about, okay, I have some chatbots, but they don't work very well. I hear that if I apply AI, or I have a business intelligence platform, but okay, well, we cannot extract more value, but I hear someone that AI can allow me to find hidden information or different.
And now where is their interest?
Now the interest is real from the general management, and it's about how I transform my organization. Before it's how I transform my process, and now it's how I transform my organization to compete and to be the number one. And not only companies, but also public institutions, professors from business schools, doctors, lawyers. So even people from, we have some movie productions or music productions, now it's very general, so everybody understands that we are moving to AI age and we need to move that. And I will say 80% is B2B.
Of the attendees?
Of the attendees.
Very good.
We have in total about 850 already graduates on the program.
Okay, let's deep dive a little bit on your Japanese experience. So for those that they have never been in Japan, what is the soul of the of the relationships between companies? What I call the B2B relationship. What do you think makes it's the difference between?
It's really interesting because it's totally different. So the first objective in a B2B relation here is building trust, and which is for me is the regular, the ultimate, right?
The ultimate.
But it's first. Here you can deliver a proposal, you can deliver prices, but if you don't build trust,
you're out of the game.
Yeah. So and we have many examples of companies that they come here pushing and they were unsuccessful. So first of all is to build trust. And so you don't talk about the business, you talk about the companies, you talk about the people. The people, they go to have lunch or maybe together, or they understand each other. And when we understand and we realize that we can understand each other, then we go for business. So here, for example, negotiation is not about price, because I understand if you give me a price, it's the best price you have now. If I tell you the price is not good for me, you understand that it's not good for me, and then we share. Toyota was like this. Toyota asked to the suppliers the cost, not because they want to squeeze and reduce, it's because they want to have a long-term relationship. How they are going to develop products if they don't go, they don't
make money.
So it's the win-win in all the organization. Main question, why Toyota is not so fast in autonomous cars or EV vehicles? Because they have 18,500 suppliers, and EV vehicles electric vehicles, they use about 30% of the components. What they do with the other 70% of the suppliers? It could be only in Japan about 30 million people working for that. So this social and people-first approach is the distinctive in Japan.
Following with Japan, how the Japanese companies, how much they are embracing the artificial intelligence thing?
There are two different approaches here. So one is all the AI related about hardware. They are leading the world.
They are leading.
So if we go to the WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, we will see that in the ranking of the 30 top corporations in AI registration, 21 are Japanese.
Wow.
And it's because they are B2B. Because in B2B you can register, you can patent.
Yeah.
In the B2C or is open systems, open AI, or you cannot patent because it's too
vague.
Too vague. And now they are speeding to the marketing as well, of course. No? But here we have the difficulty of the language barrier. Many of the AI systems, for example, for generative, the source of all the databases are in English. So, and Japanese is totally different language, but it's a totally different communication. In Japan, we talk more about high level of communication. Outside of Japan is our level. So then now it's speeding. And if, for example, analyzing the startups.
Which is probably the second, you said at the beginning there are two approaches, the hardware and the second approach?
And the second approach is for process. Because we have what in other countries may be a treat, so we have a treat here that the population is aging. So we don't have people, we don't have workforce here. So what we are trying is to automate process, not to replace people, to augment the capability of the company. And this is the second approach as well.
What about the startups? How is the startups ecosystem embracing and playing with artificial intelligence?
Three profiles of startups. Startups that they apply AI for technology, robotics, space. Now the last one, JETI, they make agreement with NASA for robots in the space and also in the moon. So very high tech that come from the Tokyo University or the universities related with Panasonic or Sony or Toyotas. And then we have another that is more related to our B2B, and these are the majority. What they are doing is automation of process and taking decisions faster. And we have many here, like preferred networks. Preferred networks is AI only focus on robotics and business automation. And we have other area that is platforms, B2C platforms for commerce. Because one of our unicorns here is Mercari, and Mercari is a mix of Amazon and eBay.
Okay.
And it's very powerful here.
I can imagine.
Its market capitalization is about $3.2 billion.
Wow.
So 3 levels. But one important thing in the startups in Japan is longevity. So 81% of the startups in Japan, they survive about after 5 years.
What is the secret recipe?
B2B. Because B2B...
Now you know why I invited this guy, right?
B2B, you have all the ecosystem of your partners that also they invest on you.
Sure, yeah.
And they give you also ideas because
and it's quite cultural, right? It's based on what you said before.
Yeah, in B2C, you fight in the market. And then you have exactly, you teach, you point the target or you don't survive. And 90% of them, they don't survive. But it's because the B2B, also because they don't speculate, mostly outside of, let's say outside of Japan, founders, when they found a startup, they have one objective or 2 objectives. One is to succeed and second is to sell the company. Here, the objective to sell the company is not on the plan, it's to make big the company. No? and to invest for another technologies and to keep. That's the point.
Very
It's
good.
another civilization here, so this is not even another culture.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but you are still the third economy in the world, right? So
Yeah, even the economy was flat for 20 years.
yeah.
So imagine how it was. And after the Second War, so just in 15 years, Japan was able to rise the second largest economy in the world. And don't forget, we have here a nuclear disaster, we have earthquakes every time, we have now a typhoon, you can say. So it's a resilient country.
Very good, Jorge. Amazing to talk to you. I
Thank
think
you,
I
my
think
pleasure.
you are my brother from another mother. Talking about B2B is
B2B,
such
yeah.
deep dive.
Huh?
Anything that a last sentence, a last takeaway, a last quote from your side about how B2B will, how artificial intelligence will affect business to business?
Yeah, the most valuable thing we have is data. Data is the new oil. But it's not because you can convert data into cash. So you have to find the data, you have to extract the data, you have to refine the data, you have to keep in the warehouse the data, and finally you use the data to monetize. So in this value chain of the data is B2B. So the only B2C is at the end.
At the end of the iceberg,
yeah,
right?
If you are my partner, business partner, we are partnering together, and we have data that, remember, we only use 5% of the data. If we are able to use all our data, but not only in our database, in our social networks, in the news, we can combine and we can create a very unique value that our competitors, they cannot provide.
Very good, very good.
It's going to change the way that we are going to behave in B2B.
Okay, that's the quote, right? That's the quote from Jorge. Artificial intelligence, it's going to change the way we behave in B2B. That's very, very strong statement, because behavior from an organization, it's part of their culture. It's somehow is their culture, right? So it's going to affect to company culture.
Absolutely, and also you are going to have AI suppliers. So be aware about to choose AI supplier that is not speculating and next day is going to disappear. So choose the AI supplier that they behave and they have your same culture. Otherwise, don't complain to the AI. Behind every
Don't complain to
AI
the messenger.
No, behind every AI system there are people.
Very good, Jorge.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank
Welcome.
you very much.